Hi. We've all been there at churches to where somebody says something and they offend you. And then over time, you now dislike this person and have issues with this person. Then over time it causes a whole big discord in the church. I know it's easy for me to simply say just let it go, but I've been there too. We've all been there. We've even said things and offended people and not even realize it. But it's important to not be offended. And I know that again that's easier said than done, but you just have to continue praying about it and just let it go. And especially don't leave the church, because I've heard of people and I know of people that have been offended by other people and they've left churches because of that. And the thing is, if you have people at your church and you see that they've left for so long, if they have a social media, Facebook page, go and look at it. You'll see that they absolutely fell into the world because what happened was they got disconnected from the church. You're not supposed to forsake the assembly of God's people, right? When you do that, you're being unplugged from God, right? And not only that, church, I mean, in general, anyway, okay? Your walk with God, of course, should consist of 7 days a week, not just Sundays for church and Wednesdays for church. Of course, outside of church all week long. But when you're unplugged to where you're not going to church at all, especially offenses, that's usually what happens when somebody leaves a church. It all goes downhill because you're no longer plugged into church. You're no longer at an altar praying. You're no longer praying for people, and there's no longer people praying for you at an altar. There's a disconnect between you and God, and it all started with a simple offense at a church. So that's all I'm saying. Just if somebody offends you, and I know we've all been through it. I've definitely been through it myself, and I've been in fact, I've been extremely offended before by people, but it's no good. If I just leave the church because I don't want to be around them, or if I stay there and I stay offended with that person, I'm going to start causing discord and all kinds of issues in that church. That's no good. That should never be happening at a church. There should never be this person said that and that person said that. It should never happen. Never in a church. So if this does happen to you, just pray about it, let it go, and have faith. God will give you the ability to overcome it. And whatever you do, do not leave the church. That is the absolute worst thing you could possibly. I mean, it's bad enough to cause discord in a church or to be offended by somebody in church, but to leave a church completely is the worst thing you could ever do. Pray that God, helps you to have the ability to overcome offenses, and pray to God that you don't offend others, because sometimes we all tend to offend each other also without even realizing it. You might even intend to be friendly towards somebody or try to be helpful towards somebody, but you're actually offending the daylights out of them and you don't even realize it. So pray that God gives you the wisdom, the ability to not offend others and to do things right and to not be offended. And if you are offended, He'll give you the ability to overcome it. And whatever you do, don't let it dwell in you. Don't let it stew in you and become this horrible thing. And absolutely never leave the church. Thank you and have a nice day.